So my primary goal with this channel is to discuss maybe what are some redeeming qualities that a movie gives, thinking about are there any messages to take from a movie and so forth. That's kind of what interests me the most in movies. I know that doesn't interest a lot of people. A lot of people just want to be entertained. I just don't that's not the way I watch movies. I like to kind of say, hey, is there some redemptive qualities to what I just watched? And so that's kind of what I'm going to be about on this channel. Also, we'll try to keep these around 5 minutes. Anyone that knows me knows I love to talk. I'm just going to try to keep it at 5 minutes. Unfortunately, I won't be able to talk about all the things I'd love to talk about, and that's too bad. So the first thing I want to say, Agnes of God gets 7 out of 10 for me. Now, when it comes to numbering the quality of a movie, it's almost really just not fair, right? Anybody could throw a number out there. But what I want to say is I think 7 out of 10 is as fair as I can give this. But if I was going to give it a recommend or not recommend, if you're someone who just saw that you can watch this on a streaming service and thought you'd look it up on YouTube to see if anyone recommended it, so you don't have to sit through the rest of the video, there won't be any spoilers, but still, I highly recommend it. I will tell you this, it is in no sense a thriller. It's labeled as a mystery thriller. It is not a thriller in any way, shape, or form. Okay, this is simply a mystery, and it's a good one. The real central mystery of the film is an excellent mystery. Jane Fonda is great in it. All of the acting is really good. I will say there are some scenes where the dramatic moments are not something an average person can relate to, right? This takes place in a convent, and, how many of us can really relate to a nun? I mean, not very many of us. And then to find out that a nun is suffering from, I don't want to, and no spoilers here, but suffering from a degree of shame, whether that's justified or not, you decide on your own. I really feel like how many people can relate to it? And I'm going to tell you, the director did not get the actors to really feel this emotion. It just doesn't come across the screen very well. And I've always said, I try to notice acting for my reviews. I myself don't really care so much. I know it's weird. I have an acting background, but I don't know. Bad acting doesn't bother me. I don't even notice it most of the time, but I've deliberately tried to notice it more. Now, this is not a case of bad acting. Jane Fonda and the rest of the cast are great in this. The only problem is there are some emotional highs and emotional lows that they just never are able to get there. Whose fault that is? Probably the director. It's the director's responsibility. I remember David Lynch in Lost Highway, Robert Loggia was talking about how there's this one scene where he just wasn't taking the scene where Lynch wanted it. It's a scene in the desert. It's not in the desert. It's actually off of Mulholland Drive. And he pulls this guy over on the road, knocks him off the side of the road or whatever, and he's yelling at the guy. And Lynch did a bunch of cuts, and Lynch kept coming up to him saying, "You're whispering. You're whispering." And Robert Loggia got furious and said, "I'm not whispering," went nuts. And that take is the take that ends up in Lost Highway. So it's you never know when. Sorry, my dog's going to come up and want some attention here. He doesn't like me giving attention to anyone else. So you don't see that in this film. I don't think that kind of strong effort was made to arrive at some of these emotional highs and lows. And you can see it. It's tough for them to get there. And I myself was putting myself in their shoes, and I was saying, I don't know if I could get there. I would need a director that could really pull that off, could at least trick me into it. All right, let's get to the redemptive qualities of the film, because that's the primary focus of this channel, is what can we glean from the film? Well, it doesn't hide its goal, okay? The goal of the movie is to explain that when it comes to morality, religion doesn't have a monopoly on morality. That's really what the movie is trying to say, that you can be secular and be just as moral as any religious person. I would be, by American cultural standards, considered a religious person. And I will tell you, not that I fully agree with that description, but I will tell you, I agree with this movie's message when it comes to that. I think the idea that a secular person can't be moral. I mean, my parents are highly secular, and they're very moral. And anyone who knows anything about the world at all, particularly in America, knows that you don't have to be religious to adopt religious ideas. Now, does that mean all moral ideas are religious? Well, that's a debate for a different day. But I just want to say, The film addresses this, and I think it's a worthy question to ask, isn't it? The only problem is this: it's done through like dialogue, right? It's just done through dialogue. Too bad. Anyway, the ending, so the beginning of the movie asks really good questions. The middle of the movie is a little bit like too little, butter put over too much toast, to quote Lord of the Rings. And then when you get to the end of the movie, the ending is fantastic. My only issue with the ending is that there's a bit of narration to explain some things. It's not saying definitely what happened, okay? It's speculation on the part of one of the characters. And I found that highly unfortunate. The audience should be speculating about these things, not the characters. Too bad, really too bad. But it gets a little bit dry in the middle. Some issues I have with the ending and the acting, I dropped it down to a 7. But I want to say, this is a high recommend. I was pleasantly surprised. So that's going to be my review of Agnes of God. I'm doing a retrospective where I'm going from 1973 all the way up to present day. I watched about 10 movies of each of those years. I put that on pause for almost 2 years. So I'm not going to be, I don't know how often I'll be able to do it, but I'd like to post on this channel frequently. New movies that are kind of big movies, I'll probably be reviewing as well. And if I garner some interest, I'm just going to do this regularly. And if I can't garner any interest, well, then that goes that. But anyway, enjoyed talking to you. Hope if you are going to watch this movie, leave a comment, please. Just let me know what you thought of it. If you like this movie, or just we're kind of searching the internet and see if anyone talked about it. It's kind of why I'm posting this, is just to see, has anyone else seen this movie and like it? I'm curious. Did you hate it? I'd be even more interested in hearing that perspective. Did the questions about morality, or is that something that you had something you've thought about before, or anything? Just let me know. Have a good one.